Good morning. My name is Ian, and I'm a teacher for StarTalk. I do several things here at StarTalk. My teaching here is dealing with children. And dealing with children, we hold many conversational classes with children. And today I'm going to talk about it, and I'm also going to talk about how to get children to talk. And I will also mention some of the problems that go along with that that you can deal with when teaching children. So on an average week, I have about 4 to 5 classes with children. And my ages range from anywhere from 7 on up to 17 years of age. The children that come to my classes here at StarTalk, they have to go through a little bit of a testing procedure. And this involves finding out their level of knowledge of English language. And it's because this is a really important aspect, is to put them in the right class where they are able to understand me. At times, I do have to use Russian language, but I try not to do so. That is only if there's a problem. I try to use students to translate and interpret for other students so they get a chance to work together. But this could be a problem too, as some children can feel inadequate, that their knowledge of English is not as good as a child next to them. As mentioned, setting the levels for children is very important, because what often happens with children, they come into the classroom and they are very nervous and they're very shy, because for many of them, this is the first time that they've ever met a foreigner, especially somebody speaking English to them. And they may have been studying English for a long time, and all of a sudden they're confronted by this native English speaker. I understand this and I recognize this. So the first day of class for them is a very important time where we start to kind of understand each other and find out the levels of the children. And this could take several classes to really determine what a child knows, because there could, like I mentioned, there could be shyness issues, or there could be even not understanding me, because some children are taught with more British English, and then there's a pronunciation difference or a sentence of grammar structure. So I'm very patient when I take time. Now, one thing I have to mention is very important here at StarTalk is that it has to be fun, really. And not just fun, but interesting. And these are the two keys that you have to introduce into your conversation to make them happy to be there. Because kids can get bored very quickly if something is not interesting for them. My experiences in Russia, in dealing with Russian children, there is not such differences in American children and Russian children, just maybe applications of that. I think that conversation with children, to me, is something like a club, really, because a lot of these kids, they live in very structured environment. They have their school and they have lots of homework, and the weather is typically pretty awful during the winter, and so they cannot go outside and socially engage. Here at StarTalk, the children have a feeling it's like a club. They can come here, they can relax, they can calm down, and they make friends here. They make friends with other children. And often than not, a lot of these children socially engage with each other even after class. So, and I really like that. I really like kids to meet other kids and get to share a great opportunity to be here. Mentioning fun. Fun is something that they like to do. Games, I introduce many games into my classes. Challenging games, question games. We also talk about themes. Those are ideas. For example, we may discuss a city like London. I may ask them, well, tell me about London. What is in London that's famous? And they'll Big Ben or the London Bridge. And many of these kids know all this stuff. But along with this is the introduction, and most important for me is vocabulary. Vocabulary. So when we discuss an idea, like I mentioned, like London, I will use the board behind me, and I will put a list of the vocabulary up there. And next to the vocabulary, I will ask a student to put the Russian word next to it so that everybody can see what it is in English as well as it is in Russian. And I will repeat these words throughout the lesson. So they just not get entertainment or having some fun. They can actually leave here and learn something. That's important. There's another thing that's really important to know is parents. Parents play a big role in teaching of children here at Star Talk, because in this company, we constantly talk to the parents, because the children go home and they give the parents feedback on their classes. So if there's a problem that needs to be corrected, we correct it. It could be a problem with the teacher, or it could be a problem with the students. So we are really sensitive about that, and we pay a lot of attention. Often it happens that kids get into these classes and they don't want to talk. They don't want to say anything. And that could be a problem. What I try to do is to focus on that particular child. Often they want to come in, they want to sit there, and they just want to be quiet. They don't want to say anything. And they go home and they tell their parents, so what happened in your conversation? Well, I don't know. I just sat there. I didn't say anything. And then we get this feedback, and we have to deal with it. So how do I fix that? Well, I focus on them. And a lot of it is they don't feel comfortable, or they don't understand the level, or there's some other issue that has to be dealt with. So it's very, very important that you try to stop students that try to talk over other children, because there always will be in your class one or two children whose level of English is very, very good, and they're very talkative. And you've got to try to give a little bit of even-handedness in your class. Everybody gets a chance to talk, to hear others. And that's one of the big things we have. We have a lot of kids who come in here, they just love to talk. It's their time to get away from mom and dad, to get away from school, and to get in there and just tell different things. It's interesting that many children who come to my classes, after a while, feel very free to talk about other issues. And some of these other issues can be quite controversial. And I try to dissuade that, not to get into politics or religion or anything like that. If there's an issue with a student in that, I notify the staff here at Star Talk, and they take care of the problem or the issue that needs to be done. So that's dealing with children. During the summertime, I also work in summer camp with children, and these lessons are all conversational based. And I make this a point because the children who study English, which most Russian children do, they receive heavy lessons in grammar. Past, present, simples, this kind of stuff. And it's really, really a lot. And it's really heavy. I try not to do that. I try not to teach grammar in my conversation classes. That is not the place for it. But if I see one of the students who has an acute problem with grammar, again, I will mention it to the staff. And this child, usually the staff will talk to the parents, and we will try to set up a program for this particular student, a grammar program, to get over that. Mentioning that, this is a time for children to talk. They spend years in classrooms doing grammar, but never talk, never say anything. Many of the English teachers in the schools actually do not have a very good level of speaking English. This is because they do not have a practice to do so. And that's where Star Talk comes in with conversation classes, because we take that from the school. We take the conversation classes and we take it to another level. Now they can talk. Now they can speak of what they learned. And we have incredible results from that. We have students here at Star Talk that have been here for many years, 4 or 5 years. And their level of speaking English is tremendous because they've been able to use it, to speak it. So I shy away from grammar. I stay away from it. I don't teach it, only if I'm specifically do it. If Star Talk tells me to teach a grammar lesson, then I will do so. So that's where I am with grammar. Corrections. When children talk in the classroom, often they use bad grammar, terrible pronunciation, and spelling. I do not, as a rule, correct them. I don't do that. Maybe just a little bit, because I do not want these children to be embarrassed by other children. I don't want that. So I will disregard a lot of bad grammar, bad sentence constructions, and pronunciation. And talking about pronunciation, as many of you know, there's two sides of English. There's the British English and there's the North American English. I'm quite comfortable in both of these dialects. And I make it perfectly clear in my classrooms that both North American and British are acceptable, and they are right. They are not wrong. So it's interesting for the students when they hear me talk, because many of their teachers teach a British dialect. I went to school in Australia as a boy, so I carry both a British pronunciation, spelling, and sentence construction. So I work with both. And when I'm in my classroom with my students, I actually tell them there's a British pronunciation and there's an American pronunciation in sentence structure. So those are some particulars I have when I deal with children in my class. I don't have problems with disruptive children. It's important to ask the children why they are there, because some of the reasons they are there is because their parents put them there. I'm not comfortable with parents putting their kids into class, because if you don't want to be there, it's going to be a miserable time for you. It's not going to be nice. So these kids that come to my class who are sent there by their parents, I pay attention to them to try to make it interesting for them and make it fun so I could change their idea and their attitudes about it. It's a really good thing to do about them. So every child that comes to our conversation classes here at Star Talk has a reason to be there. And it's important that a teacher talks to them and says, why are you in my class? What do you want to get? What do you want to improve? What do you want to say? So you will be aware of how children feel. It's a really good, and that's a sort of a kind of a feedback too. So you need to be very sensitive and aware to each child's want in the classes. Another thing that we try to do here at Star Talk is that when we form these children's conversational groups, the staff here at Star Talk pays specifically attention to balancing out the classes. We do not put all weak children in one class and put all the strong children in this class. We pay specific attention to balancing out these classes, because if you have a real weak class, then you can run into the problem where you have a dead class where really there's no engagement, nothing's going on. So I'm so happy that we have strong members that are mixed in with the weak ones, because they can help each other out. The strong ones will translate and interpret for them. And it really makes a very, very well-balanced class. And I think those are one of the many reasons why we have a very successful children's conversational groups here at Star Talk. Really, really good. Like I said, I enjoy teaching children. I have 2 children of my own. So I'm not exactly a stranger to teaching children. I can remember years ago I was teaching children and people would say to me, well, why do you teach children? You're a single man, you don't have any kids. It's kind of strange. But now that I've been married for several years, and it's better for them than, oh my God, Ian has children. Okay, he's all right. Secret topics.
Tell them about the secret.
Now, this is a very interesting phenomenon that goes on here at Star Talk, but not just with them. I teach children in other venues and summer camps. After a while, children become very relaxed in the classroom, and they become very open. And it will surprise you and sometimes shock you for what children tell you. And many of these things that the children tell you are things that their parents do not know, and they will not discuss with their parents. They feel comfortable in discussing it with me because I'm non-judgmental. Of course, I will say something that drugs are bad. If there is an involvement, the children doing drugs or somebody's drugs, I will tell them it's very bad. But there's other things like conflicts with their teachers, and many have conflicts with their families. And I'll be quite honest with you, I've had several children break down and cry in my classrooms, become emotionally distraught because they feel safe. They come here to Star Talk and they feel safe in discussing these things. And there needs to be somebody to listen to them. Now, what I do, if it's severe, I bring this up with the staff here at Star Talk, and I let them handle it. They will handle either with the parents or the students, so it's out of my hands. But it's always been very interesting for me to have children just tell you the most interesting things about school. Now, they all have the same theme. They all hate school, and they have teachers that they don't like, or they have subjects that they don't like, and that's all normal. Another thing I find that I consciously do consistently is I put myself in their position. Because as adults, we often forget that we were children also. We weren't born adults. We had a childhood. All of us did. And it was full of all kinds of good and bad and fun and not so fun things. And so I try to instill in my children, and I'm successful at it, that I was once a child like them. I had the same anxieties, the same stress, the same apprehensions. And this is really important for children because they need to feel the empathy from you. So So I want to show you, these are the 3 books that we use here at StarTalk. Now, each one of these books is given to students, and it's assigned at their level of English comprehension. As you can see, there's the number 1, and there's the number 2 and number 3. Number 3 is higher levels of understanding the English. And number 2 is your average, and 1 is like your beginners or elementaries. In these books, we have topics that we discuss. And at the end of the topic, there is a discussion point. And in some of these exercises, there's actually a written area where you can write your response. Now, these books, they're tailored for the teacher and the students, where things can be supplemented to these topics. I often do that as a teacher here, is when I have a topic, let's say topic is junk food for the day. I will bring extra material to the class that relates to junk food. How much is eaten? What is junk food in America? What do you think junk food is? And this will be distributed to each one of the students in the class to add to the topic it is for that day. These books, I'm going to tell you the truth, they are in constant addition. We look at these books. These are not some book from 25 or 30 years ago. These books are consistent to what is going on today. So it's not a boring topic. It's really actual for what's going on in children's lives. I love them. I love them for many reasons, and one of the big reasons that it's in Russian too, because for myself, I could learn Russian from them. and I really like that. So these books are very flexible, and we are in constant revision of these books. So when they're printed, we are already starting to revise these books. We're getting ready to revise them because it's going to be a constant thing.
Can students use vocabulary correctly if you don't correct them?
I will correct your vocabulary. I will put it on the board, as I mentioned. I will help them to a limited time how much vocabulary they use. I do correct them. But here's an interesting thing. I have the habit of asking them, do you want me to correct your vocabulary? And often they say yes, because I think as a teacher, I never correct people's vocabulary unless they ask me, because it's rude. Oh, that's not the right pronunciation. I think that's not a very good thing for a teacher to do. That's a sign of arrogancy. And I will never correct anybody. My wife, for instance, she's Russian. She asked me when I first got married, please correct my grammar and vocabulary. I said, okay. So I do, but not always.
But how do you correct the students?
I ask them to repeat the word. I ask them, do you understand this word? And I ask them to give me an example in the usage of this word. And I make sure they can see the word for itself written, like I said, on the board. And I ask them also, because the students here at StarTalk are given notebooks. They have notebooks where they can write these things down and take it home with them. And when they come back to class, when I see them again, I do have a small revision where I re-ask them, do you remember this word that we had last week? Can you remember how to say it? Can you remember what it means?
There's one more question. What kind of activities do you introduce to make children speak? What is your strategy with children who don't want to interact?
Yeah, that is a really ongoing, that's a really hard thing to do. So I use a lot of humor, funny things, because a lot of people cannot be straight-faced if they want to laugh about something. Those are icebreakers. I play a lot of word games with them, conversation games, and I make sure that they are the focus of this conversational class. Because if they're weak, they need to be brought up. And I use a lot of word games, trivia questions, general talk. Also, I will use another technique too. I will not let a child hide in the classroom. Sometimes these children like to find a corner, find a dark area where I not really look at them. I get them to move next to me. So they cannot escape. It takes about time.
What other strategies do you use with those who are shying away, who don't want to interact? How do you get them talking?
Often I use students for them too. I use students against them. I get them to role play. I bring them into a group. If one student is really shy, I will get that student to sit with another student who has a better level of English, and I will give them a challenge to work on themselves, and they will have to talk about a particular project. So they cannot escape. They're working in a group of two people, the weak one and the strong one, and I get the strong people to break down the other ones. Mm-hmm. I use students against students. And it works. It works. And they find out that I don't really bite. I'm not the teacher at school, strogi. I'm not that. And they start to understand that I'm not there to hurt them, punish them, and most of all, embarrass them, because that's not good at all.
Can you remember some hard cases, like some tough kids that you really have to deal with?
Yeah, I've really had some tough children. We use the expression rocks in English. I've had some rocks in my classroom, and they just don't say anything. We say clam up in English, clam up, not talk. It may take 2 or 3 lessons to open up, to break them, to crack their nut. And you've got to really focus on them. You've got to make them realize that they are getting attention. They're not getting ignored by the teacher, because often these kids are ignored. They go to classrooms in their school, the teacher just ignores them. I spend time with them after class. I will actually sit down with them and actually talk to them and get to know them and feel comfortable. And another thing, really important, when children don't talk, is to meet with their parent, is to get with their parent and them and talk to their parent. If there's a language barrier, then the staff of Star Talk will come in, talk together. And this usually does it. Kids relax. Yeah, we're aware of it.
If students don't like each other and don't want to interact with each other, what do you do?
Yeah, sometimes you get these, but it's so rare. It is extremely rare here in Star Talk where you get children in a conflict. I've never had any even physical conflicts or mentals. I kill it. When they get into a little bit of a quarrel over differences about things, I quickly shut it down before it gets to it. If it gets really bad, I will make sure that they're separated in a different area. And I will be really aware. Some children have come from very conservative families. very hard traditional Russian families. And then there's other children that come from more liberal families, more open families. And that's where you see the conflict between the students. The more traditional Russian, the more open, you know, Moscow type, you know, westernized, and then you have those. Yeah, that is one of the most common conflicts in a conversation class. But it's so rare we have that here. So rare. It's interesting that children are just not here learning and listening and talking. They're learning from each other. This is really an interesting dichotomy, that the children, I've watched this for many years, they actually learn from each other. What? You think that? Yeah, I think that. Oh my God. It's really fun to sit back and watch these kids engaging in topics that they never even thought of. And so we're learning. We're all learning about each other, not just the kids, but it's me also. Yeah, really, it's really, really cool thing. So yeah, I work with that. We pay a big attention to that in the classes. Our classes are successful. We have many of them. And we have an inflow of students. We have new students coming. We have old students going for reasons. They're moving away or they're taking different classes. So it's always a new thing when we have a conversation class. There's new kids, there's interesting kids, new things, new ideas, new expressions. So it's always kind of an exciting thing to come here, you know, and just talk about all kinds of things, you know, and they love it. And with the constant bad weather and the onset of COVID-19 and quarantine and sitting in your house, children love to come here, to get out of the house. They just want to get going, get somewhere, do something, instead of sitting at home and playing video games and just walking with their friends. Let's just go to Star Talk. Let's go to conversation class. Let's have fun, hour and a half. Just let my hair down, we say in English, and just be open, be ourselves.
And a lot of kids have this problem with hating English. Yeah, they come to Star Talk and they say, I hate English.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a big thing. It shocks me. They hate English. The reason, there could be two reasons for that. One could be the teacher who's teaching the class. If you're a Russian teacher and you're teaching English in a public school, Russian public school, it is very tiring, constant teaching it every week, you know, every month, every year. And so after a while, you really don't really care what you're teaching because it's not exciting, it's boring every day. The children feel that and they get it. They start to hate English because it's boring, or they have this constant homework and it's not interesting for them. And so they start to hate or resent any kind of English. We see a lot of this here. And that is a really thing that we focus on. Going back is it has to be fun, it has to be interesting. So when these children come into the classroom, I lightly engage them. I say, well, do you like English? And for like, I'm going to be surprised, 90% say yeah. 90% say yeah, they like English. Do you like grammar? Oh no, God, I hate grammar. All kids hate grammar. So like I said before, I try not to do that, teach grammar. Staff here at Star Talk, and they will get with the parents and the child and offer them a course in grammar, because we do teach grammar here a lot to children. So yeah, some have bad experiences. Many children are studying a second language, a third language. Many of the children here we have are studying French or German. And this could be a problem because their life is so heavy with language courses. Yeah, corn. So it's really, really heavy about that. We also not just teach English, we teach several other languages here also. And we do offer conversational classes in other languages here, not just English language. We offer them too. And we tailor these classes to a student's particular need that they need to have. So we do that. Yeah, you got to be on the ball about English. And, you know, some children, like any adult, they have a knack for it. They're good with language. They pick up English really quick. Bam, they get it. And some have a tough time. I just want to say goodbye to everybody. And I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about my work, my job, and what I do here at Star Talk. I hope to hear from many of you in the future, and I just wish you a good day.
Друзья, давайте поблагодарим нашего спикера Ian. It was well brilliant, thank you. Не знаю, как вам, а мне прям захотелось стать учеником класса, где преподает такой преподаватель. Действительно, очень много лайфхаков, и я полагаю, что мы для себя что-то найдем интересное. Спасибо еще раз. Ian, thank you.
Please call us. We're here for you. Our telephone numbers are on 24/7, and we are here, and you can come in and have a consultation, and we'll tell you. Yeah, I'm on the field.
Yeah, we got it. Thank you so much.
Спасибо большое.